Okay, hi there everybody, this is Greg. I'm just going to do a short video here on the process of importing your photos into a catalog in Lightroom so that you can organize your files and Lightroom will know where they're at and you'll be able to edit those files and work on them. So let's go ahead and get started here. I have Lightroom 5 up on my screen, and what I've done is I've taken my SD card out of my camera and I've put it in my computer. So once you've done that and you have Lightroom open, if you just click on this import button in the lower left here, it will find those images that you have on your SD card or attached peripheral such as your camera. But notice that I have don't import suspected duplicates. Since I've imported these already once, I'm going to go ahead and uncheck that just so you can see what we have here. Now this is a shoot that I did of real estate that I was doing high dynamic range, so I have some over and underexposed images in here. But you'll notice that you can check all or uncheck all, and then you can just go through and select those images that you want to add. So I'll just select a few here just to give you an idea of how this works. Okay, so let's say we'll do that, and what I really want to concentrate on is on this panel over here. You'll see all these different options. So if we start with file handling, in the top it talks about build previews, and I always leave that on minimum because if you go with any of these other options, it really greatly increases the upload time to import these files into a catalog. But if you stay with minimal, it'll do it in a fair amount of time, and it's all the information that you really need. Build smart previews, if you select that, it will also really increase the time that it takes to upload these files, because what it does is attaches more information so that you can actually work on these images. If the original hard drive or wherever it is that you stored these catalog images on is not available to connect to your computer, if you build smart previews, you can actually work on them when that's not connected. So in most cases you won't be using that, but know that that option is there. Don't import suspected duplicates. If that was what I unchecked in order to select these other ones over here. So if that's selected, it'll gray out those ones that have already been imported. If you want to make a second copy for a backup, you can do that here by selecting that, and then you can actually tell it where you want to store those backups. So if you want a second copy as a backup, that's where you would do that. Okay, moving on to the next one, file renaming. As you import these, you can rename all the files. There's several different options. I like to use custom name and sequence, because then you can add a custom name that's relevant to the pictures that you took. And you can start with a sequence of number 1, and then they will number. They'll put this name and the number after 1, 2, 3, 4, so on as it goes through there. And as far as the extensions, I usually leave them as is, but it'll either uppercase or lowercase those. I leave those as is. Apply during import. You can actually set developmental presets that it will apply to each picture during the import. Now remember though that it's going to apply these presets to every picture in the whole catalog as you're importing them. So I usually leave that set to none, but realize that you can go in there and set up presets for exposure and all the different options that you have in Lightroom, that it'll apply those settings as they're being imported. Metadata, I usually leave this at personal. You can also set up presets on this. If you go to edit presets, it'll bring this up and you can make a custom preset that it'll include all this metadata with the file as it's uploading it. And you can see there's quite a few options and a lot of different information that you can have attached to your file as it's importing it. But having said that, I like to just usually leave that on personal, because what that does is attaches my personal copyright and metadata information to the image as it's uploading it. Keywords, if you want to add keywords that will help you search for your images easier. When you get thousands of images, having good keywords attached to them is a really helpful thing. So that's where you can add keywords to your import. And finally here, destination. This is where you're going to choose where you're going to store these images so that Lightroom knows where they're at. So this is all the files on your hard drive, and you can select to put them anywhere you want to. But the important thing is that Lightroom knows where they're at once you've gone through this process. I usually always keep mine in pictures, and I can make a new subfolder for it. And if I do that, you can name the subfolder, and I'll go ahead and import these into this real estate folder by date and organization. You see there's different options in here for all that, but this is really fairly simple and straightforward. Once you've set all of those, just go ahead and click on the import button, and it will, I'm going to have to change this destination because I put it in the same place, so let me make it right. Make a new folder so that I'm not putting them in the same place, and I'm just going to go ahead and click import. Now you'll notice up here in the upper left hand corner that's importing these images, and once they're imported, then we will be able to see them down at the bottom in the film strip, work on them one at a time. Now you'll notice that it finished, it ejected the card, which is an option that's available in the upper left hand panel once you start to import, and it's safe for me to remove the SD card now, but you can see the different ways. We can look at it in grid view, which is what it's in now just by clicking, or in loop view, which is one single image at a time. And from here we could move on to the develop module, which is the next tape that I'm going to be recording for you guys, and showing you how to develop some of these, change some of these settings. But if you'll notice over here, these are all the catalogs that Lightroom knows about. So the point of this tutorial is to make you understand that anything that you do within Lightroom you should do from here, not within Windows Explorer. So if I went down here and said Open File Explorer and made changes out here to my documents or to my pictures, if I made changes out here to this stuff, then Lightroom wouldn't know where it was at because it wasn't in their catalog. So that's the whole point, and something to really pay attention to. So if you want to move files around, create new files, anything like that, make sure that you do that within Lightroom from this panel right here. You can add new folders here, you can move pictures around, but when you do that, Lightroom is going to know where they're at. So that's the important thing. Once you've imported these in to a catalog and Lightroom knows where they're at, you'll end your confusion with having pictures lost. So thanks for listening, and have a good one.